a while, I tried to remember why I took this class. Was it because I needed it for my major? Was it to just take it just because? I had to look back and wonder why cognitive psychology sounded so interesting to me when I was picking out my classes. I thought cognitive psychology would be us just discussing about the brain and why it's significant and important. But after a semester of being in this class, I've learned that it means so much more than just what's going on in your brain. I've learned that cognitive psychology is actually more of the study of mental processes, language use, memory, and so much more. If I ever get another chance to take a class like this in my lifetime, I definitely would, and I would 100% recommend it for others. Through the semester, we learned about so many cool things, from the way people problem solve and why they do what they do, to the way people perceive different things. But by far, one of my most favorite lessons we had this semester is when we talked about flashbulb memory. A flashbulb memory is an autobiographical memory of high levels of detail as a result of a particular surprising or emotional experience. These memories are much longer lasting than day-to-day autobiographical memories due to their vivid nature, although they are not necessarily more accurate than standard episodic memories. This sort of memory is found to be so vivid because of the emotional reactions that stimulate the release of hormones that have been shown to enhance the formation of long-term memories. Flashbulb memories are created in response to a particularly emotional or surprising event. The fear center of the brain, the amygdala, is triggered by the experience as a result and begins recording as much detail as possible. The details are recorded as a survival mechanism in case the situation should repeat itself. The memory is usually caused by a negative or traumatic experience, such as PTSD, which is a disorder which a person has difficulty recovering after experiencing or witnessing a terrifying event, and can get triggers that can bring back memories of the trauma and are accompanied by intense emotional and physical reactions. But they can also be a result of a positive experience if the emotional arousal is strong enough to trigger the amygdala. For example, the election of the first African American president in the US, President Obama. The event reached the necessary level of emotional arousal to trigger the encoding of the flashbulb memory surrounding the experience. Many people who develop flashbulb memory can remember smells, sights, colors, time of day, or weather with a very high degree of detail for decades. Flashbulb memories could be triggered from involuntary sensory or memory cues, such as from a familiar sense of smell or sight, or voluntary cues, such as asking yourself a question. This can also be called a flashback or involuntary recurrent memory, which is when an individual gets a sudden re-experiencing of a past experience. 9/11 is an example of a flashbulb memory for many people because they remember in vivid detail such things as, where they were, what they were doing, and what they felt at the time of the attacks. The event was so significant enough to trigger the emotional arousal needed for formation of a flashback memory. This is also very significant because this was the first, real war and, fight that we had on our American soil. Also, for people born after 2001, like me, another example of a flashbulb memory could be when you remembered the moment when you heard that Mr. Trump had won the 2016 presidential election, which was a very big event that happened in my generation that I'm sure we will all remember for the rest of our lives. Are flashbulb memories really even that accurate? Well, flashbulb memories have been shown to be pretty accurate because they are often recalled over time. However, they can be inaccurate because of the misinformation that can be added into the memory over time, and minor pieces of memory that can be recalled incorrectly, which would then result in these gap errors, which can occur due to a number of different reasons, such as the emotional involvement in the situation. In conclusion, flashbulb memories are very important as they rely on elements of personal importance, consequences, emotions, and surprise. They are what help us to go about our everyday lives and help us to be more aware of our surroundings and certain situations we put ourselves in. Without it, we would only be living in the present, never being able to reflect on the past or project ourselves into the future.